No, it still says we're offline. Okay. There we go.
There we go.
Make sure the audio is okay.
Do some talking.
Talk.
Talking. Checking the sound
Okay,
levels.
sounds like we're good.
Sounds like we're good.
I think we're good. Yeah.
I think we're good. Let me just refresh my thing again so I know what I'm doing.
Wait.
Yep, here we go. Welcome to Flag on the Play.
Hey guys. Woo. Random horn noises to make it sound more exciting than it is. Woo.
We need some theme music.
We do.
Yeah.
I mean, what, like 25 followers and getting our theme music already? Let's go for it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to our Super Bowl reaction. There's a lot to react to. I'm going to play the Super Bowl matchup on Madden as we talk.
Yeah, so my biggest take from the Super Bowl was that it just left you feeling deflated.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It just we talked a little bit about this before the stream. It's the biggest game of the year. Like, it's kind of it's for the NFL champion. They've played kind of 16 games to find out who the best teams are. Those best teams have then played or those two teams have then had to play three other teams.
Yeah.
To be up for competing against one another, to be the to be in this game.
Yeah.
And so it should be amazing. It should be the two best teams in the league, or at least two of the best teams in the league. Going full pelt at one another. It should be a fantastic game. It doesn't have to be a high-scoring game. Should just be able to be a fantastic game. And actually, I felt like we were let down.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
And I think there's a number of reasons for that. I don't think we'll go through all of them, personally, because I think actually
we'll go through some of them.
Some of them.
But yeah, no, credit where credit is due. Tampa Bay did play quite well.
I think we'll start with the positives. Tampa Bay potentially played the best game of football I've seen any team play this year. As in,
I would disagree, because the Saints absolutely smashing the Buccaneers 38-3 was altogether the best, in my opinion, that I've just seen in my life. So I will disagree with you on that one.
Fair enough. But yeah,
even like front end to back end, but it was a great game of football from the Buccaneers, and what really showed up was the Buccaneers' defense is stacked. It's really good, and they played like it. They played with talent, with speed, with physicality.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that, Mahomes wasn't fully healthy, I think was another thing, which helped the Buccaneers. So it was revealed he was going to have surgery on his foot. Also he's having surgery on his foot tomorrow, I believe. Because he had turf toe.
Yeah.
And so you could tell he wasn't going to be 100%, but you would still expect him to put up a fight, and he did. Except the Chiefs' offensive line was just...
He played phenomenally.
Yeah.
So turf toe is basically where your toes bend backwards, being caught on the turf. And essentially you're resulting in broken toes, I think. Other things.
Yeah, sprain of the main joint of the big toe is kind of the usual definition. But yeah, so the something I was seeing earlier, the plantar plate in your, which is basically the very bottom of the joint between your big toe and your foot. That is called the plantar plate. And so it's kind of like thick, fibrous tissue, which prevents your toe from bending too far. And basically, so Mahomes is going to have some surgery on that tomorrow, because I'm assuming from turf, because of the injury he sustained, that it's ruptured it in some way, or he's injured that. So that's kind of the main thing, really.
Yeah. I think injuries on the Chiefs for me was, I think, one of the biggest letdowns. When we say we wanted to see the two best teams go up against each other, we didn't, because Mahomes wasn't fully healthy, because the Chiefs were missing their two starting tackles.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, if not both of them, at least one of those tackles is kind of Pro Bowler.
I believe Eric Fisher.
Let me work out who these are. I think it was Hitchens and Fisher, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and it was Eric Fisher, I believe, who is a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
So
he was a Pro Bowler in 2018, Pro Bowler this year.
Yeah. And actually, we saw how much of a difference that made for the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah. I mean, we only had one tackle out, but it was best tackle in the league, David Bakhtiari.
He was an All-Pro this year. Yeah. And so having two out, we saw. We didn't see. good to see you, Matt. We will get to Gronk.
Yeah,
definitely.
We'll get to Gronk. He had a good game.
Yeah, so we're just currently going through the reasons why the Super Bowl felt like a bit of a letdown. And our first point is injuries. Mahomes not full strength. The two tackles are injured. Two starting tackles are injured. And so it just we didn't feel like we saw the Chiefs at their best. And that
it was disappointing.
And I think, to be fair, and this is something that kind of...
Turf toe is not that dance. We've talked about that. That dance, I believe, is the gritty.
The gritty.
Gritty. Same thing. We've talked about turf toe is basically when your big toe bends in a way it's not meant to. And damages a whole bunch of like ligaments and stuff around there. So injuries was a big reason that we didn't see a fully healthy Kansas City Chiefs, and if we did, it would have been great. It would have been great.
Yeah, Matt. I didn't realise he was injured either till Sam told me. But he's having surgery tomorrow on his foot.
Yeah.
And you don't need surgery unless you've got a problem. So.
Yeah. So he was injured for the Super Bowl. He wasn't injured from it. He was injured. So he's been dealing with those toe injuries for a couple of weeks now. But it was played down for the Super Bowl.
But also he did, like you say, despite having that injury, he played as well as he could have done, I feel.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, his stats are much to say, but that's more on the Tampa Bay defense than it is on Mahomes. So you saying Mahomes didn't look injured, just didn't pass quick enough, that's not on him. Well, you can't pass it within 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds, if no one's open. You have to try and get someone open. And the fact is, the Tampa Bay defense was really good coverage-wise as well, and brought a lot of pressure, so that the pressure was there before someone was open, so he had to run.
I think that's what we
to
talked
try
about
and create some space.
That Mahomes is really good at... The reason this pass-heavy offense works so well is they throw quickly. They get guys open quickly, they get it in their hands, and they keep going. And they do it through momentum as much as they do kind of... as throwing quickly, and Tampa Bay took all of that out very quickly. And I agree with you. And this was going to be my other point. We'll get to it in a minute. Once we've done kind of why it felt like a letdown, we're not going to talk about it too much. We're going to do too good, too bad from each of us. Because we could go on forever.
I haven't really thought about what my too good, too bad are, but I'll wing it.
And then, because we could just sit here and complain for a while, because I just feel really let down, and it's really, and that's the one disadvantage. That's the one disadvantage of having one match to end the season. It's like.
That's a reason I love the NBA. Actually, the playoffs in the NBA are awesome.
Yeah.
Because you have a series and you have to show you're great over a consistent amount of games.
Yeah. I think part of Brady winning, yes, but not because he won. If that makes sense. Brady himself winning is not the reason it feels like a letdown.
Brady winning MVP is another thing.
Is one reason it feels like.
Is one reason it felt like a letdown.
The Rams Super Bowl was definitely felt more like that was a bigger letdown, as in like this one that we know why it was a letdown and it's sad, but it happened. The Rams one, you felt like the Rams shouldn't have been there, and so that was like why is this even a game? Why is this even a Super Bowl? Chiefs being clumsy. The other the weekend was really good.
The highlight of the Super Bowl was the halftime show.
Fantastic.
The weekend was incredible. I loved it. The amount of memes that have come from it as well have been great.
Yeah.
But he was incredible, actually.
He was.
And I need to start listening to him more as well.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Chiefs being clumsy. This.
It was.
You are right.
Chiefs defense was clumsy.
The reason this feels like a letdown, and I'm not going to badger on about the refs again because we've done that all season, and I really don't want to do that here.
I'll spend like a very brief amount of time on it later.
The reason this felt like a letdown is the inconsistency in refereeing style/attitude throughout the season. So
that's exactly what I was going to say.
So the number one thing. So this is the real difficulty in being a ref. Like, all credit to the refs for doing what they do, because it cannot be an easy job. Because as an NFL ref, do you follow the letter of the law absolutely precisely, and you throw a flag every single time you see something? And that means you're probably throwing a flag on every other play. Actually, Matt, this is where I disagree with you. I'll come to that one in a minute. Or as a ref, do you say, actually, let them play? Like, we can bend the rules a little bit. Let's kind of make this game fun. And that's what bothered me. I personally, sport is supposed to be entertaining. So I'm all for refs saying, let them play, let them have fun. The more flags means the more stopping, means momentum goes away, and it's boring.
Like the majority of the Packers Buccaneers game was played with that sort of refereeing, and I didn't mind that, and it was great. But then it was those inconsistencies in those last 2 minutes of both halves, actually, where they were just kind of like, we're going to ref it by the book now.
And this is what we talked about. This is what bothers us about that last call in the Packers game. Like we said, the Packers game, it should have been a call. Like, no doubt, he's got his hand on the jersey. It should be a call. What bothers us is that the ref decided that call, they weren't allowed to just let them play. Whereas other calls, which also were let them play, would have absolutely been would have been penalties. And that's we sort of said, like I've said to Sam while we were watching it, this game feels like after the referees did the Packers game, they were like, okay, we're not allowed to let them play anymore. We've got to call everything. And actually, kind of, that's the thing, is we don't care if they care that they get calls right or wrong or stuff. Like, it's the inconsistency. It's like, do one thing or the other. And that was the thing that this Super Bowl felt like a letdown for me, was because it just kept stopping. Like, yes, there were fouls. Yes, all of this.
Yeah.
But they just
the
kept
second pass interference was quite dodgy. The refs did make a couple of odd calls, which personally I wouldn't have made.
I think that was.
The second pass interference was where the player tripped on Mike Evans' foot as he was running behind him, and then you can't call that pass interference. He's tripped. He doesn't have any control over where he's falling at that point. And if his foot falls, or when you're tripping, Mike Evans, his foot manages to catch the other player's foot, and they both start falling, you can't call that pass interference.
No, I'm completely...
Yeah.
Well,
there was no use of hands in that.
No, so Matt, if you watch it slowly, their legs clash, and as he's falling, he puts a hand on him, and I don't know if... Maybe this is the thing. I assumed that they were calling a foul because he fell over. Maybe the hand did touch, and the ref kind of went, actually, no, that's... You're not allowed to put your hands on him. That's the pass interference. Be a bit of a soft pass interference, but it would go with the way of the way they've done the rest of the game.
And this is another thing that I've over the last few games, and it happened here in the Super Bowl, and I hate to be the one to talk about this because it's something that we don't think is in football and we don't want it to be in football, but the way that that they reffed each team, it felt as if they were favouring one team over the other.
And that's the thing, is like, we can't say that because, like, to be a ref you have to be unbiased. Like, there's no way that they are favouring. Like
exactly.
It's
but like that is what we feel when we see these calls.
Yeah.
When we see these calls, when we see these inconsistencies on either side of the football.
Yeah. And this is where I think I would still blame the referees. Not blame the referees, but this is... They didn't do a good job at showing they were... But you can't... But that's the thing. If one... I disagree, though, because if
one team commits more penalties than the other, then yes, they're going to get flagged more.
Yeah. And
however, it was more of... It seemed like certain calls weren't being made against the other team that were on the one, so it's it is again the inconsistency in flag throwing, essentially.
This is what it looked like to me, anyway, when I was watching. It looked like the Chiefs have been playing defense that way, kind of, for a lot of the season, and the refs just sort of said, let them play. So when it comes to this game, the Chiefs were like, we're going to play that, and then the refs start throwing flags, and the Chiefs are like, okay, you haven't done that all year. What am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
And this is where this is where it's not on the refs. The Chiefs absolutely had to adjust at that point. As soon as they knew that the refs were going to kind of be reffing that game the way they were, they had to adjust, and they didn't. So that's kind of that again. That's on the Chiefs. And
yes, that unsportsmanlike conduct, in my opinion, was a bit soft. Because it was Brady who initiated that, rather than Tyrann Mathieu, in my opinion. It looks like Brady. It looked like Brady went up to Tyrann Mathieu, then Tyrann Mathieu had a little bit of retaliate, then ran away, and Brady kept on running after him.
I just think it was inconsistent.
Yeah.
I kind of that's all. That's end of my kind of letdown there. I think. Yeah, let's move on. It felt like a letdown. I think lots of people can kind of say.
Sorry, just like to respond to Matt saying he pointed his finger in his face. I believe that was after Brady had basically moved over towards him. I don't know if there was any talking between that, but it was Brady who made the first move towards Tyrann Mathieu, looking like to start the argument. And then Tyrann Mathieu goes, points your finger in his face, and runs away. before Brady tries to follow. So I think it could have been taken either way, really.
I see what you mean. Yeah, the penalty would have been given
I do see what you mean.
Right, yeah. So it doesn't actually matter who started it, because if it was the finger wag, they're allowed to trash talk. They're just not allowed to do anything else.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Again,
but that's where I had a bit of a problem, because it looked like it was Brady who first went up to initiate the almost physical contact.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing that the Buccaneers did well, is they got under the Chiefs' skin. And actually, and this is one thing that annoys me about the refereeing in the league. It's not the referee's fault. I think this is a rule-based thing. You only get flagged for retaliating. You don't get flagged for starting something.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating.
I really dislike that rule. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a rule, and the Buccaneers did their thing. Like, fair play to them. Like,
they played really well. Can we talk about Super Bowl MVP?
Is that? Yes, I'm going to segue into my section. Sorry. So sorry. The way, because Sam and I felt so disappointed coming out of this game, I said to Sam, okay, let's do 2 good, 2 bad each, to try and sum it up as much as we can. And then I want to know how you guys felt. Like, I'm really interested about opening it out. So one of my bad was Tom Brady should not have won MVP. This is not to say that he did not play well. He played very well, absolutely, but he was not the reason that they won. And I think
he was not the most valuable player on that team.
No, absolutely not. There's just
To be fair, he had a good stat line.
He played.
So
really
he went
well.
21 of 29, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, which is pretty decent.
It's really like I say, it's really good.
It's pretty good. The yardage is a bit.
The Buccaneers played football how we keep saying teams should play football.
Yeah.
Number one, play good defense. They did that. They smashed it. Yeah. Played really good.
Fast, physical defense.
Yep.
Is the way to play it.
Yep. Number 2,
get to the quarterback quickly. Make sure you're covering well in the backfield, in the back end, and
absolutely.
It works.
Yeah. Number 2, good O-line.
Yeah.
Because everything runs through your O-line. And how many times did Brady get sacked?
I don't believe he got sacked.
I believe it was once.
Yes, once. Sorry, yeah.
Once. And how many...
sorry, I'll show the running backs. Sorry, I was just about to go on to this anyways, but Leonard Fournette, 16 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown, averaging 5.6 yards per carry. Ronald Jones, 12 carries, 61 yards. 5.1 yards a carry.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think... And also, you look at Tom Brady's stat line. Because the fact that he had only 6 to 8 incomplete passes is because there was no pressure.
8.
Yeah, but this is the thing. When you look at a stat line that good, there's usually one reason for it. And that is a lack of pressure. And because you've got no... What's the word?
He's not being hurried.
He's not being hurried to make throws.
Essentially.
So he can throw to wide open guys. And that's the thing that I noticed while watching that game. Every person he threw to was wide open.
Yes.
And I will get to why this is in a minute.
And also, they didn't use the deep pass. There weren't very many passes that were thrown deep.
No. And that's not
and when
to
they
say
were,
that,
the player was wide open in the zones.
Yeah. And that's not to say that Brady is bad by all means. I'm just saying that's how good their offense was.
Yeah.
That the Chiefs had to prepare for... Oh, that's an awful kick. That the Chiefs had to be ready for both Brady and his wide receivers and also the running backs, and they just couldn't do it. Yeah. And that meant...
And here's the thing that I noticed. Brady threw it to Gronk, to Antonio Brown, to players who aren't usually catching the ball many times.
Yeah, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin didn't have phenomenal games.
They combined for 3 catches and 40 yards. And this is why. It's because the Chiefs decided we're going to double cover. Yeah, Mike Evans had 1 for 31 yards. The Chiefs decided we're going to double cover both Mike Evans and Antonio Brown. We're going to take... Chris Godwin, sorry. We're going to take away their 2 best options. And the thing about the Buccaneers offense is it's stacked. They have Gronkowski, Fournette, Cameron Brate, Antonio Brown, who are then one-on-one matchups.
Mm-hmm. And they were great. They were really, really good.
And they played well. Yeah.
And that's the thing is, you just have to look at those 3 touchdowns. The first one, Gronk is wide open, and like hits him well. Antonio Brown apparently ran the wrong route, which is hilarious, but he was again wide open. Gronk is overrated, but in this game he played very, very well. But I wonder if he's been overrated this season because people have been wary of him. I wonder if part of the reason that he hasn't been able to do what he did in this game is because people have been double covering him rather than like Mike Evans.
I don't know about that actually.
No, I don't know either. But I'm just this is what I'm saying.
The first Gronk one was a good play call. Yeah. It was a really good play call, and that's what highlighted the game. That was a really good thing about the highlight of the game was the play calling on the Buccaneers was incredible.
Yeah,
credit where credit is due. To Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles.
Well, see, this is where I was going to say. I'll come back to my 2 bad. My one of my goods was 2 people you may never have heard of: Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
Todd Bowles is defensive coordinator. Byron Leftwich is offensive. Bruce Arians said he would not coach Tampa Bay unless he had Byron Leftwich. And you look at their play calls the entire game. This was something that I've noticed while watching the game as well, that the Chiefs' play calls were bizarre. I don't know why they were. That was the main thing for me. Yeah, the Buccaneers played almost the perfect game, and that actually started with the coaching, the play calling. That first Gronk touchdown was phenomenal because it got him wide open. And one of the reasons Gronk has had an overrated season is because he's primarily been a blocker, and we haven't noticed his ability throughout the season because he's primarily been a blocker.
Yeah, I mean he's been doing well blocking, but as well it took him some time to get back into full physical health again.
Yeah.
So it's a very similar play that they used against Green Bay the week before or a couple of weeks before. Yeah. In which it was a very good play-action pass on the goal line.
Yeah. And this is... Yeah, did you know... I did know Kelsey and Gronk at the same age. It's weird, isn't it? Yeah, exactly, Matt, you're right. They predicted that block from Gronk, and actually he just snuck under the line. The linebackers missed him. He's wide open. And it works perfectly. And I was like, fair play. That's a really clever play call. And I think... And also, you hear Bruce Arians in interviews. He says a lot of the time, "I didn't do anything," and that's credit to Tom Brady's intelligence as a kind of experienced quarterback. But a lot of that is credit to his 2 coordinators who absolutely outplayed the Chiefs.
Incredible game plan.
And you're right, Matt, about that second one. I thought this was where I was going to start. Actually, is my MVP would potentially have been Gronk. Because he not only posted up a really good score line, kind of 2 touchdowns, 60 yards, something like that. He was a really good blocker for that run game. Like you saw a lot of the kind of big runs from the running backs. They were able to bounce to the outside because Gronk had set that extra block.
Yeah. And that's where a good tight end becomes incredibly useful. That's why the San Francisco 49ers managed to run the ball all over teams last year. It's because players like George Kittle, who is one of the best tight ends we'll ever see, who is incredible at both blocking and catching.
Yeah.
And Gronk is really good at that as well. He's a really balanced tight end.
Yeah.
He is not the GOAT tight end by any means. Or not by any means, but he is not the GOAT tight end.
I think he's in the conversation, though.
He's in the conversation, however, Tony G.
Yeah.
Also, Antonio Gates.
Yes.
Sorry, just responding to Tory. They won't be able to pay them all next year.
Do
or
any
they'll
of them have
trouble.
contracts coming up? I was going to say, I feel like they're in the middle of a lot of contracts. Oh, okay. Chris Godwin's a free agent, isn't he? Oh dear. Okay, that'd be interesting.
It's not just on the offense, though. If I look it up.
Oh yeah, Shaq Barrett's going to be a free agent. Apparently the Jaguars are going to go after him. That makes sense to me.
Where is it? Is it not coming up? What?
While Sam's looking that up, Matt, my Super Bowl MVP would have been Gronk because he was a mismatch the entire game, and when, like, say, when they were double covering other guys, they needed someone else to step up, and he did. The other one, because I think actually the defense was potentially even more dominant than I say the offense wasn't. I wouldn't say the offense was dominant. They were fantastic, but either way, my point was, I think because the defense was so good, I would have wanted a defensive MVP.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that
I'll take a while looking at the contracts, because I think there's quite a few who are actually who are going to be free agents on the Tampa Bay defense that they need to bring back. My MVP is Devin White.
I was going to say, it would either be Devin White or potentially be one of the safeties for me.
Yeah, I mean, Antoine Winfield had a really good game. However, Devin White had 1 interception, 1 pass deflection, 8 total tackles, which is really good, 2 TFLs.
Yeah.
Which is altogether a really good stat line.
Yeah.
That's a really good defensive stat line. Okay, so free agents coming up for Tampa Bay Buccaneers: Shaq Barrett, Levante David,
that's a
Rob
big one
Gronkowski,
as well.
Ndamukong Suh, Steve McClendon, Joe Haig, Leonard Fournette, Ryan Smith, Antonio Brown, Blaine Gabbert, LaShawn McCoy, Ryan Suckup, Chris Godwin. Yeah, those are the big ones.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Matt.
That's a lot of talent to try and fit into the new lower cap space.
I think they will get the majority of that back.
Yes.
But I think Shaq Barrett's going to be the interesting one, and it'll be interesting to see if he makes a difference.
So it is going to be difficult to bring them all back. Brady and Gronk have already said they're coming back.
Makes sense. Fair enough.
But that was Devin White for MVP for me. He was absolutely insane. He is one of the best linebackers in football at the moment. His ability to get to the ball, his speed and physicality, that's what defines a good defensive player, and that's what he did well. And that's what he's done well all season long. I wouldn't call him the best, but he's very close.
I think the Buccaneers have the best linebacker tandem.
Core, yes.
That's...
Or tandem,
because Levante
Fred Warner,
I would say, is the best. Yeah,
is the best in my opinion.
I don't think the sense I get from
Bobby Wagner is brilliant as well. To be fair,
I would say though that their combination, Levante David and Devin White, is potentially better than any other combo in the league.
Yes,
I can't think of.
Yes, that we've seen for a while actually as well.
And that whole linebacker core, because I think it's a 3-4 system. You've got Shaq Barrett.
It is.
In there as well. And,
I think JPP.
Absolutely.
It's a really good linebacking core.
The thing about Brady I've learnt this season, like Matt says, he's a competitor. He is the ultimate competitor. That's partially what makes him so good. And that means he's just going to keep coming back. He's just going to keep going.
Yeah, he's a winner.
He's a winner, exactly. He wants to win. And that's the sense you get from, that's the sense I got from watching the Super Bowl. You learned quite a lot about him by watching him in the Super Bowl. Yeah. And the fact that he's celebrating a lot with his family, you just get the sense that he's just doing this because he loves it and because it's fun. And so he's not coming back until he can't play. Or sorry, he's not going to stop until he can't play, I think.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't see. Like you say, unless it's a horrific injury, I don't think there's any number of Super Bowls that will make him retire.
No. It's one of those things where he wins a Super Bowl and he's like, I want to get another.
Yeah.
Gets the next one and he's like, I want to get another.
Yeah.
Gets another one and he's, I want to get another.
Yeah. And I think, yeah. I was going to go on to talk more about Tom Brady, but I'm not going to. I've been doing a lot of thinking about Tom Brady and kind of going, am I hating him biasly? And I think this season I've decided I don't hate him. I'm an underdog supporter, so I prefer to see an underdog win rather than the guy who's won seven Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to deny his talent. He is fantastic. He is an unbelievable quarterback. I wouldn't say he's the kind of, in terms of talent, I wouldn't call him the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think this season has made me reflect a bit on Brady.
Also, Deflate.
Deflategate was a whole thing that I'm not happy about. Also, him throwing a tantrum to the Patriots front office so they would trade Jimmy Garoppolo away. Kind of shows you the sort of character that he has.
I think that's the thing. That's the thing. He's an ultimate winner. Like, he is.
Yeah.
He's kind of a win at all costs guy, and part of that has gone into kind of his diet and his nutrition and stuff, which has meant he's been able to do what most players can't do at 40. Fair play to him because of that.
Yeah.
He's also a winner in terms of mentality, so he's ultra competitive, doesn't allow his teammates to kind of have emotions and stuff. I disagree with that, but fair play to him. It's creating a winning culture, and you can't argue with that. It also leads him to do some slightly unsportsmanlike things. And again, I disagree with that.
Deflategate.
But again, now that I understand where it's coming from, I kind of go, I disagree with you. I don't like that you've done that, but I can't knock you for just your ultimate ultimate competitiveness, your ultimate drive, just like how amazing a sportsman you are, and actually I disagree, Matt, with it being overly inflated, because if a player cheats, it tells you a lot about them, and the whole point of sport is that it keeps its integrity. So I think that one of the best quarterbacks of all time, the greatest in terms of accomplishments and achievement, for him to cheat, you kind of go, dude, what's the point? You've already won 4 Super Bowls. Why do you need to cheat? It says something about the character of the person, and that's a bit. But it would have done. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So the whole thing about Deflategate is deflating the football makes it easier to throw it. It makes it easier to catch it because it's not going to be as hard. It's going to be slightly smaller. So you've then got a significant advantage. Maybe not significant in effect, but significant in what it does.
So I don't fully understand Deflategate, but all I know is that some Patriots players were deflating footballs, to make them easier to throw. Tom Brady obviously involved because he's the one throwing.
Yeah.
And like I said, Matt, I don't know if it does the same for the other team or not, but my suggestion would be that either team has kind of a set of balls for their offensive drives. I think so. I don't fully know, but
I'm just having a look. I can't find it now, but I am going to have a look, so keep on talking.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that was one of my goods, one of my bads. And then they have lots of balls. Basically. I don't know how they're stored or kind of who has what, but
okay, so I believe it's I think it's like each team has 6 footballs to start with. I believe the kickers get 3 and the offense gets 3. I think this is... Also, they get at least 4, and the kickers get a couple of balls that they can just practice kicking and smack them with hammers, and they're called K-balls. So they're made easy. They're made slightly... So so kickers have a bit of time to prepare the K-balls, put them under pressure, so they become slightly softer. And slightly easier to kick. And then the offense has some balls which are to regular pressure, or to well, all of the balls have a regulated pressure, but with K-balls or with the kicking balls, you're allowed to give them a few hits and change it. K-balls are not for warm-up. K-balls are for kicking. So kickoffs, field goals, extra points, that sort of thing, and then each offense gets a certain amount of balls themselves. So Deflategate was basically the Patriots, or Tom Brady and some of the Patriots players deflated their own balls. I believe that's during the game as well, not just warm-up. So you have there's a certain amount of balls in circulation while you're on offense, and then so you use them.
Would have had to deflate quite a few.
Yeah. It doesn't always mean easier to defend to catch. It means it would have been easier for a defensive player to catch it themselves. But it means that the offensive players would have been able to catch it a lot easier. So would have been able to potentially even do one-handed catches or stuff like that. They can catch balls that they previously would have gone out of their hands or things like that, which gives them a fairly big advantage.
Yeah. I think just ultimately it's cheating. It's an attempt to cheat, and I think that's kind of why. Well, people were probably looking for a reason to hate Brady, but and I think that's why it probably was blown out of proportion. Because lots of players cheat. I would hope lots of players don't cheat. I mean, penalties is kind of cheating, but it's cheating in a. What's the word I'm looking for? in a kind of a sneaky way, in a really dishonest way. He did get suspended for it. Yeah.
Yes, and the Patriots were fined $1 million.
Yeah. So that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move on to my other one good and one bad, and they are kind of opposite each other. The O-lines. And kind of their response. So, one thing Patrick Mahomes needs to clean up if he wants to be better than Brady, which I absolutely believe he can if he has a career long enough. Every time he gets pressure, he runs backwards, and that's one thing that Brady is really good at. Is he doesn't go backwards; he goes sideways or forwards.
Yeah.
And which means he's able to kind of throw the ball. And whereas Mahomes goes backwards, and that can cause lots of problems and things. And so that's why one bad is the Chiefs' O-line was obviously missing its two starting tackles. They were really injured. That was a real shame. But either way, they just should have played better. There was way too much pressure on Mahomes. He couldn't do anything. And actually, I did not think that would be a problem. I don't know if it's.
I didn't think it would have been as big a problem as it was.
I don't know whether that's because of the injuries, whether that's because the Buccaneers' pass rush has just got better over the season, or the Chiefs haven't faced a kind of an equally good pass rush.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but they played badly, and it was a shame.
Sorry to respond to Matt saying they got punished, so that should have been the end of it. That it is the end of it, but we're just bringing it up as a measure of character, more than anything. We're not saying
and you would
giving a verdict on it.
You would hope that
we're
he's
just
changed.
saying,
So, we do look at this back, hoping that he's changed as a person.
We're just we're looking back at it at something that he's done to say this is kind of a reason why we don't like him, because this suggests certain things about his character.
But I am hopeful that has changed, and I'm also trying to not like him. So and so opposed to my O-line one, the Bucs O-line was absolutely phenomenal. Do you know who the highest graded PFF player was in the Super Bowl?
Oh, it's gonna be Tristan Wirfs, wasn't it?
Tristan Wirfs, rookie.
Yep.
Rookie.
Right tackle.
Right tackle for the Buccaneers, highest graded player in the Super Bowl. Like that's also the Bucs also drafted Antoine Winfield this year, who played safety for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, he played really well. Yeah.
And so, fair play to the Buccaneers organisation. They already had a stacked team. And then in free agency, they went and stacked it a little bit more with Gronk and Brady, and then went and drafted two. I think they were the first 2 rounds. Kind of 2 absolute studs of players who have been kind of absolute starters. Like, there's no question. And they've played so impressively. I think they're potentially
they've been really good.
Potentially kind of the 2 best picks of the draft.
Yeah. I mean, they did draft fantastically.
Or I'm just let me put it like this: when I think of best 2 picks in the draft, obviously kind of Joe Burrow has been phenomenal, Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson, all of that. But
I think Justin Jefferson has to be one of the better ones.
But if you're looking for teams who were in the playoffs, so I'm thinking potentially like Packers, Saints, kind of Bills.
Packers
all of these
didn't draft well, so that's.
Well, that's what I mean. Biggest bargains. I don't quite mean biggest bargains about. What I mean more is, Tampa Bay were expected to be a playoff team now that they kind of had Brady and stuff. So of all those teams that were looking to the playoffs, you want a rookie who is going to come in, be a starter, not just be a starter, but be a good starter, and be that difference maker that gets you to the playoffs. And I think the Saints. Who did the Saints draft?
Ooh, that's going to annoy me. Cesar Ruiz, centre, he played well. To be fair, then they picked Zach Bowen, linebacker. He hasn't really played. And then Adam Troutman at tight end.
Yeah, and see that's the difference is that Troutman and Bourne, like Ruiz has played well. Troutman and Bourne have been kind of second string, and not made as big a difference. And also those kind of Winfield would have been available if the Saints wanted him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other teams who did the Chiefs draft? Edwards-Helaire.
Edwards-Helaire.
Like, again, Winfield would have been some safety help.
To be fair, they got L'Jarius Sneed, who's played really well.
Yeah.
Willie Gay has played well.
He was injured,
which didn't help. But yeah, at 32nd, they picked Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, which I think is a good pick, but actually, what this game revealed is that actually they've potentially got. Well, I say they've got more. They had injuries, but potentially some more pressing needs on defense.
Yeah, and Antoine Winfield was picked with number 45, which is in the 2nd round. So you've got to think,
yeah, absolutely. Like, he was available there.
Yeah.
So those, I think that's all my good and bads for the Super Bowl. I'm really interested to, unless Sam's got anything else to add, I'm really interested to know kind of you guys watching what your guys' opinion was. Like, I felt like it was a bit of a disappointing Super Bowl, but at the same time, it was a really straightforward one to analyse because Buccaneers played amazingly, Chiefs were kind of sloppy.
I think we've kind of covered everything that it was for me. Those Chiefs injuries hurt them. Buccaneers defense played incredibly well, and I had credit where credit is due. The Buccaneers played well. They played a really good game. And I remember watching it, and then I remember kind of lying down in bed and just thinking, they better not give MVP to Brady. And I remember sitting in bed thinking that, and I was just, when the news came through, I was just so disappointed. Because
it's not
there were kind of maybe three or four players on the defense for Tampa Bay who should have got MVP.
Yeah. See, this is the thing, Matt. This isn't Brady hate at all. I just don't think he deserved it.
No.
He was not the best player on that team. And this is what bothers me. His stat line is phenomenal, and it deserves to be phenomenal because he played well. I'm not suggesting he played badly. I watched the game.
He played well. He played really well. He played a really safe, consistent game, which is all you need from your quarterback.
And that's what I mean. That's the thing for me. If you're going to give MVP to a quarterback, you need to give it to a quarterback because they did things that no other quarterback could do, or they did things as a quarterback that won them the game. They made difficult throws that other quarterbacks kind of won't be able to make.
Yeah, whereas the reason Brady had such a good stat line was
because they had a fantastic kind of run
because
game,
the scheme was incredible.
Because the scheme was incredible, and their guys were wide open the entire time. Granted, you need a good quarterback to make those throws, and that's what I'm saying is he is.
However, some of those Buccaneers receivers were so open, I could have made those throws.
I think that's a stretch, but I get your point.
It's a little bit, but
that's what I mean.
Is
he was good, but I'm just saying that other quarterbacks could have done it as well, and I do firmly believe that. I don't believe all quarterbacks could have done it. I just think
Whereas you then look to the defense and you think, and you look at Devin White and you think, how many other linebackers could do that?
Yeah. And again,
how many other players could affect the game that much from that position?
And again, I would say that with Gronk, again, when kind of the other receivers were doubled up, he stepped up and played. Oh gosh, that was an awful throw.
Gronk consistently got open, and that led to
consistently made good blocks. Yeah, and led to 2 touchdowns exactly. And that was kind of that's my thing, and that's it. Just I think
Chiefs safeties aren't bad, but the whole Chiefs defense was, or their linebackers were missing.
You could say,
which was a big thing. There are lots of holes in the linebackers. Their safeties aren't bad, their corners aren't bad, but it's just that it's that scheme that they had on defense didn't work for them that game.
Well, they just didn't play well.
Yeah,
I think it's plain and simple. They just didn't play well, and
you look at some of the coverages and you see how wide open some of these players were, and it's kind of and you think, how have they been allowed to be so wide open where there's no one 5 yards around them?
Yeah.
And you think tight ends are getting that open.
Yeah.
Some players who aren't especially quick are getting that open.
Yeah. I agree with you, Matt, that Brady is finding the right man every time, but also that's his job.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is that.
Yeah, we're not trying to take anything away from that performance.
No, I'm not.
Brady
had.
I'm
more just trying to say
there were other players who were better.
What I'm more trying to say is, in most valuable player, you want to give it to a guy because his talent is valuable. I'm not saying that Brady is not talented. I'm not saying that Tom Brady's talent is not valuable. I just think that other quarterbacks could have done that, which means that their talent is equally as valuable, which actually decreases the value of Brady's talent in that moment. Oh, I didn't even realise I was at the end of the game. Dang it! My poor clock management. I just lost the Buccaneers. Fair play.
I was watching that and I was just like, why is he not calling a timeout?
Sorry, I completely, I was in the zone. I was in the zone. It probably ended how it should have. But yeah, and that's what I mean is that then... When this is my opinion for looking for MVP, then you're looking for the guy whose talent is more valuable. Couldn't you say then that the other receivers would have caught Brown's touchdowns? Funnily enough, yes, I agree with you and no. So yes, if they're a good enough receiver, they should have been able to do what Antonio Brown did.
Yeah.
But secondly, apparently Antonio Brown ran the wrong route. And so actually they may not have done that and may not have found themselves as open as he did because he ran something different. But yeah, I'm more... But that's my thing, Matt. That's the thing I personally think actually kind of the MVP for me are those coordinators. That's why I highlight them because I think
for me it's Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator.
Yeah, or kind of Leftwich because you look at Gronk's first touchdown and the fact that he's wide open. I'm just saying that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that because he's wide open that's a bad thing on Brady or Gronk. I'm just saying it's a fantastic play design.
Yeah.
So the MVP of that play is not Brady who throws it to a wide open guy or Gronk for running the route he's supposed to. It's the guy who called the play and created it.
Yeah.
And so that's not to take away from...
You've just picked up Michael Vick in Superstar KO.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Let's break some ankles.
But I'm interested.
Sorry.
I'm interested to know what other people thought kind of who MVP should have been. Like, if you think Brady, I'm not here to judge you. Just personally, those are my reasons for why I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Why I didn't want him to get MVP. because I just think there were players who were more valuable. So we've got one for Gronk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mine's
also that play call, that first
Gronk.
touchdown. That play has been called by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers several times this year already.
And
they called it against the Packers in the championship game.
Yeah.
They called it like twice and got touchdowns both times.
Also, that...
And you have to think sometime you have to look at the plays they're calling and go, okay, they're doing this on the goal line. Yeah. Let's counter that.
Couldn't you say that all players just do what their coaches say and each game is coach against coach rather than skill of players? Yes.
Up to a point, yes.
Up to a point, yes. And that's why it bothers me that we give quarterbacks kind of so much credit, because ultimately, like, you look at Madden, players do what they're players do what they're supposed to do. If I was a perfect Madden player, which I'm not, I would be able to read what I would look at the defense and go, okay, I think they're in this kind of formation. I would go, okay, because I think they're in this formation, or we're doing our play, I think I know which guy's going to be open. Or you hear kind of them talking, kind of commentators talking about reads, kind of a first and a second read. That might even mean that the quarterback doesn't even look at the defense. They just go, okay, I've looked at my first read, he's not open. I've looked at my second read, he's not open. Etc. And it's the
ability to do that does require that was a really good bat down. I've just seen that.
Thank you. But that's
the ability to do that quickly is what makes a really good quarterback.
And that's why Brady is fantastic, because he's really intelligent and he does that really well.
Yeah.
But what separates a good quarterback from an elite quarterback is the quarterback who can do all of that, and then once the defense is covering everyone and there is nothing available, manages to make a play
something.
Either with their legs, either kind of with a pump fake and then with their connection to the wide receiver, throwing them open, or making the really, really difficult throw. Even if the guy's completely covered, he will throw the ball in the one place that they can get it. Can you get me, Madden McTwire? I'm sorry, mate, I'm not that rich. It is a game worth getting, though, if you'd like.
It should be fairly cheap at the moment as well.
It should be, an old one.
Talking to Matt, no receiver was open, so he wasn't as good, so surely it's on the defensive coordinator. Yeah, again, I've mentioned Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, did amazingly. But on defense, it's slightly different. Because yes, you can do everything, but also you have to read what the offense is doing at the same time. You have to react to what they're doing and make tackles. And that's the difference, is what is your mindset? How quickly do you want to get to the point of where the ball is, or get to the running back who's decided to run it? How quickly can you do that? How can you shed blocks? How can you cover, and then as soon as the ball's thrown to someone else, get off that coverage and run to the ball carrier?
Also, there are kind of play calls like man coverage. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes.
And man coverage is literally you, kind of man marking the other person. It's literally you versus them. It doesn't matter about anything else. So, Mahomes has to make quick decisions. Yeah, absolutely, he does. And he had a mixed game.
And I think a part of that is due to the Tampa Bay defense, due to the really good coverage that they had, that forced Mahomes to have to hold on to the ball, and then he had to scramble it because the coverage was so good. And that also led to the however many incompletions he had.
And that's why what I'm saying is, like, Matt, that throw you mentioned earlier, the one where he's falling over, would Brady be able to make that throw?
Yeah.
He might do. Kind of. I'd be very impressed if he can.
I'd be incredibly impressed. So Mahomes threw 26 completions of 49 attempts.
Yeah.
And so there's 23 passes that weren't complete.
Yeah. And that just shows
and that's because of good coverage, no receivers getting open, the fact he's had to scramble and throw it away because the pressure's getting there.
Yeah. But the one thing I would say how many passes? I think that I'm sorry if I've got this wrong, but how many passes did he complete, and what were his yardage?
So he completed 26 of 49 for 270 yards and 2 interceptions.
And
Tom Brady had 21 of 29 for 201 yards.
Well, that's what I think is, like, if you look at their stat lines, Mahomes has a whole lot more incompletions. 1, because of great defense. 2, because it's a pass-heavy offense.
Yeah.
But for the passes he did complete, kind of versus Brady, they both had the kind of same yards per completion. Yards per completion?
Let me have a look. Yeah. Get my calculator out here.
Well, it should be just 21. Well, it's about 10 yards per.
So Mahomes had 10.4.
Yeah. Brady would have had 9.8 or something.
Brady had 9.6.
Oh, so close.
To the nearest decimal place.
And that's what I mean, is that kind of, and Brady, like, I'm not. My point is just more that when they completed passes, they were just as good as one another.
Yeah.
In terms of the game, but that was the difference: is that Brady completed a whole lot less didn't complete a whole lot less passes. Sorry.
And I think that's
through less incompletions than Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
there you go. And that's because they ran the ball like 30 times. Chiefs ran it about 15.
Yeah, and that's number one, because those offenses are different. Like, the Buccaneers are more run heavy, and the Chiefs are more pass heavy. But it doesn't matter what you're running, you've got to run it well, and the Chiefs do.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, Mahomes was forced to make higher difficulty passes, which made him look better. I was going to say that made him look made him look worse. It shows that he is the more talented quarterback, absolutely. But at the same time, you're right. He looked better than he actually was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the big thing is that, or the bigger thing you should think there is, it's not he's trying to make the pass; it's that he's managed to throw the ball away, which I think is the bigger thing, rather than take the sack, take the loss of yardage. So it's shown that he can run out of the pocket, he can evade the rush, and he can throw and get the ball out and beyond the line of scrimmage towards a receiver. It doesn't have to be on the receiver, it has to be as long as it's towards and it goes incomplete, you won't get the intentional grounding penalty. So it's shown that he can get the ball out and not take a sack against some really good defensive linemen. And against a really good, or really heavy pressure as well. And also, so the thing was, it was on Tampa Bay. They played really well. They had really good coverage to start with, which meant Mahomes had to hold on to the ball. And then the pressure came, and so he couldn't stay in the pocket. So he had to get out of the pocket. He had to wait for someone to get open, and he had to do that every single down. And it ended up that he was having to do that so often that he would just have to try and find an open receiver, and it wouldn't happen. He would have to get the ball out so he wouldn't take the sack. So it wasn't necessarily about Mahomes looking better or worse. It was more that this is what he had to do to be able to get the ball out from the Tampa Bay defense, whereas the Chiefs defense didn't push Brady into those situations.
And that's the thing. Yeah, thanks, Matt, for letting me know. Yeah, sorry, it for some reason it crashed, but it should be working. Should be working again now. Yeah, you're absolutely right. What Brady's doing at 43 is phenomenal, unbelievable. But that's why I brought up that sack statistic earlier. The fact that the Chiefs only got one sack shows you how much less pressure Brady was facing than Mahomes.
Yeah.
If Brady had to face the pressure that Mahomes had, I don't think he would have been able to cope the same way.
No.
That's
potentially 6, 7, 8 sacks.
Was it? Wow.
That's what I think would have happened if he faced the same pressure.
Oh right. How many did Thingy get? I've forgotten.
Bucks. I believe they got 4 in the end. 3. They got 3 sacks in the end. Yeah. So I think it could have been double if Brady was in that position because he
can't.
Because he can't move.
Well, I say that one of Brady's
he can, and he's really good at that.
One of his best strengths is avoiding the kind of pressure, but ultimately there's only so much you can avoid with his athleticism.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Mahomes could perform in Brady's role. Brady couldn't perform in Mahomes's because it's pass heavy, and so they have to rely on the strength and athleticism of Mahomes.
I slightly disagree there. If they have a good enough O-line, I think Brady could absolutely rule a pass-heavy offense because he's intelligent, he can make the throws, and he can read. I think absolutely. I think Mahomes is too good to do Brady's role. I think actually it would just be boring for him.
Yeah.
I think that's why the Chiefs have a pass-heavy offense.
However, I potentially think Mahomes could win multiple MVPs, multiple Super Bowls with the scheme that they have. It's that power run verticals scheme where every play there's someone going down the field. And Mahomes can throw those better than Brady can.
I think though, I don't think they're going to have to do something massive I think Mahomes is going to be a bit like Brady in the sense that he doesn't win he doesn't lead the league in lots of awards, but he's going to be kind of top 5, top 3 for a very long time. So I was looking up Brady's stats today. He's been kind of very high. He hasn't won, like we've said before, he hasn't kind of been the best. He hasn't kind of led the league in a lot of categories. But he's always really high up. And I think Mahomes is going to be the same. And I think the thing that has to change for Mahomes
Chiefs.
for the Chiefs. Thank you. You're right. The thing that has to change for Mahomes to be in Brady's position to win 7 Super Bowls in his career, the Chiefs need to get better defensively and establish that run. Like, they've got an amazing passing game. He's amazing. Their offensive line is not bad at all. They just need to they need to learn to establish the run to give Mahomes a break and to create more confusion. And
that's what the Packers have done under Matt LaFleur. And it's worked, and they've gone to back-to-back NFC Championship games. And to go that extra distance, we need to build the defense. It's the same thing with the Chiefs. To go that extra distance, even build the defense, build the run.
And absolutely. You're I think you're right, Matt. The kind of the running the right way up the field. I think Mahomes. We forget that this is Mahomes' third season
as a starter.
Sorry, that he does still have a lot to learn, and he's not as smart as Brady. Again, I think Brady is probably the smartest quarterback outside of maybe Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning was incredible.
I think
Aaron Rodgers is pretty smart.
I think you're right, and like you say, he needs to stop running backwards. He needs to take his sacks kind of up the field, so that they don't lose out. Absolutely.
That's not saying Mahomes isn't smart. He's an incredibly smart quarterback.
Apparently, in his first, MVP season.
That was his first season as a starter.
He didn't know how to read defenses. Like he said in an interview, like he wasn't reading them; he was just throwing, and that was in his MVP season. It's just crazy. I think
Mahomes is still a smart guy, but
I was just going to say, I think you're right, Matt. I think he is on a Russell Wilson arc because I think if you compare him to Brady is a great quarterback, but it's not him that's kind of winning all the Super Bowls. It's his entire team. He's always had great teams around him, and that's the thing about Mahomes and Wilson is actually they are going to have to rely on the team around them. To get them those wins.
Yeah. And I think that's what you have to do anyways. In the NFL,
I saw that,
you have to build the team. You can't just draft a generational quarterback and go, okay, he'll get us wins. Let's sit with it. Yeah. You have to build the team as well. This is what the Jaguars have to do. If they draft Trevor Lawrence, they have to build the team up around him.
Yeah. And like you say, Matt, I don't think any quarterback, you could say that any quarterback has single-handedly led their team to a Super Bowl win. I think if Lamar Jackson had won it, you potentially go his running ability is and no, I think that's why I've had some Brady hate in the past, Matt. It's not kind of purely directed at Brady. It's just everyone calls Brady the GOAT, and he is one of the greatest of all time. I don't dispute that. It just bothers me that we idolize him and we're almost like he is the reason. I'm like, no, he's part of the reason. He is an integral and essential part of the reason, but he is not the reason.
Yeah. There's so much more to it than just Brady.
Yeah. Like, equally, Mahomes doesn't win that Super Bowl unless his defense makes an effort in the fourth quarter. Because they were losing 20-10.
The only reason Tom Brady is the GOAT is because of his accomplishments as a player. It's because of the amount of good teams he's been on, the amount of Super Bowl rings he's got. His
will continue to
winning
be the GOAT
and competitive ability is just beyond anything else we've ever seen. That's why he's the GOAT. Not because we're comparing him to players half his age, because of his because of his longevity and his work ethic and his ability to win.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a Super Bowl opinion? Like, I'm really enjoying chatting to Matt, but
but if anyone else has an opinion,
anyone
else,
great. Sorry if we're like just having a conversation ourselves. Like, does anyone else want to chip in? Just thought, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Matt. Like, yeah.
Like, and the stuff he's done has to make other quarterbacks think, okay, how can I have the same longevity?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is he obviously looks after his body really, really well.
Yeah. I think at some level you have to get a bit of luck as well. Brady hasn't had many season-ending injuries. He's been really healthy with that. I think partially the NFL has helped him with a couple of rules.
One or two season-ending injuries?
Okay.
I think.
I'll look that up.
He's definitely had one.
Okay. Yes, I know he's had one. But yeah, I think partially he's had a bunch of luck. He's also had a bit of the luck from refs as well, in my
but then every player will experience that.
Yes.
But yes, I do agree. I think Jacksonville beat him if the refs don't help him. I think.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of games, maybe even I don't know about the Packers game. Packers game would have been it was already pretty close. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just the Packers game. I think there are other games. So like, there's a Jaguars one that annoys me.
Yeah, the Jaguars one is bad.
Like, they introduced a rule, or they kind of after the Jaguars won, because they messed up that call. So after the Jaguars lost, so. But like I say, we can't hold that against Brady. Like we say, that happens to every team, every quarterback. Like, it's part of life. It's part of the NFL that not all the rules get picked up 100% of the time.
Sorry, I'm just Brady looks like he's had one season-ending injury.
Okay.
Because he only played one game in 2008.
Yeah.
But it's not telling me about it.
Do you know what I find really interesting? I have done some research into Brady recently because I don't want to throw unnecessary hate on him. And it has changed my opinion. I think Sam sent a meme. There was a really funny one. That was like, deep down in my stomach, with every inch of me, I hate you, but I respect you. It's like, I think that's it. It's like the hate.
That just sums it up.
It's not actual hate. Like, he's so talented, he's so good. Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to like
just let someone else win, please.
It's more that I just want to look at him realistically. Like, he's a quarterback in a team.
Yes.
Like, we talk about, it's like Russell Wilson. We don't idolize Russell Wilson because his team hasn't won so much, and like things like that. We don't idolize any QB as much as we idolize Brady because they haven't won as much.
Yeah.
And also because their teams aren't as good. Like, we're starting to idolize Mahomes a little bit, but again, that's because his team is good. And
yeah,
I've said it all season long. I just want us to consider American football a team game, and that every single player is worth something on that team. And without them, the game would
because you think
different.
If you think if that player isn't there, what happens?
Yeah.
So say you go down, or basically say you take a player off the field and go to 10. Say you take a running back off the field, what happens?
Yeah.
You can't run the ball.
Or you've lost a blocker in the passing game.
And you might have lost a blocker in the passing game. Say you take a tight end out the game, what happens?
Yeah.
Take an offensive lineman out the game.
Yeah.
Take a defensive lineman out the game. Take a cornerback, take a linebacker, safety. Take any one of those players out of the game, and you're leaving yourself vulnerable.
It's why the NFL has like suspensions and but you're allowed your guy back on. Like in football, you can do 11 versus 10, and yes, it's uneven, but it doesn't mess everything up.
Yeah.
If you take quarterback off the pitch, you lose, though. What's your point? But that's what we're saying, is that every position is equal. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the quarterback is incredibly important, but you've got to think
don't need to pass to win a game.
You've got a whole team there. Yeah.
That's the thing as well. Like,
if Tennessee Titans have shown that for a couple of years,
and I was more going to say the Ravens, but
yeah.
Does anyone else want to say anything else about the Super Bowl? Because I've got a couple of things to say about NFL honors.
I think we just changed subject, to be honest.
No, fair enough. You don't need to block to win either, Seahawks.
Either,
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely right. That was on the Seahawks defense, though, that win. More than anything, I reckon.
Let me try and get this list up. See if I can find it.
NFL honors, I think we saw a lot of them coming.
Which ones?
Couple that I...
Go on.
Couple that I saw that I wasn't expecting. Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald. I understand it, but I think TJ Watt played better. Xavier Howard played better.
I don't hate it. He's a great player. Like, again, like.
But I think he won this award more off of his reputation than his merit this year.
I think he was still good statistically this year.
Oh, he was still, and also he was still good, but he wasn't as good as TJ Watt.
Also,
if you look, Aaron Donald had 13.5 sacks. TJ Watt had 15. Aaron Donald had 45 tackles. TJ Watt had 53. TJ Watt was better in coverage. Let's see if I can find defensive stats as well. Or proper defensive stats like TFLs. TJ Watt had 26 TFLs, Aaron Donald had 20. TJ Watt had an interception, had 7 pass deflections, Aaron Donald had 1. The only thing that Aaron Donald leads in is is better at TJ Watt in is forced fumbles, 4 as opposed to 2.
Yeah, I think this is one thing that I think is interesting. I agree with you, Matt. I've even seen Aaron Donald be triple teams this season. Which is crazy. But I don't... I think for me, at least, because Watt plays outside linebacker, he has 2 jobs. He has pass rush and coverage.
Yeah.
Whereas Donald primarily has pass rush and run block.
Yeah, whereas TJ Watt wasn't often in coverage, actually. This year they've put other players in coverage, so he's mainly been blitzing, but he has played a little bit of coverage, had an interception even.
Well, that's what I mean is even in limited like obviously he's going to have better coverage stats than Donald because Donald doesn't play coverage. But that's my point, is even if he's played limited coverage, he still has 2 jobs, and even with 2 jobs, he's done better than Donald.
He's done better in the one that Donald was doing. So, yeah.
So I don't hate it. Aaron Donald's great player. Glad he won. Happy for him.
I think he won by 1 vote. So I think it was 15 votes Aaron Donald, 14 for TJ Watt, and like 2 or 3 for
Xavier Howard.
Xavier Howard.
That's our pick.
Who should have got more recognition. Yeah.
Who should have actually got more recognition. Justin Herbert winning, I think, is... Again, I don't hate...
It's emblematic of the league. League is very quarterback bias, and the fact he won it over Justin Jefferson shows that a little bit. However, they were very close anyways.
Yeah. Like, we obviously put both of them because we were like,
we can't split them, really.
We can't split them. Just for the dance,
They've both set rookie records this year, so I think it's kind of... It was almost a coin flip for me as to who gets it.
It's interesting that with Herbert winning, I'm sort of more upset, which is weird because I agree with you. It is a coin flip for me, but I think if I would have been happier with Jefferson winning because, like you say, of this kind of quarterback centric, kind of centeredness.
Yes.
What's the other one that? So
Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year, which I
that was
liked.
the one I was going to say. I like that. Do you know who got the other votes?
I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember.
Do you have it up with you, or do you want me to look at it?
One of them was Brian Flores, which I thought was interesting, and I don't hate that. Again, we talked about how good the Miami Dolphins defense was, so
yeah.
So I think I understand that one. Who was the other one?
Yeah.
It may have been Arians. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I don't know.
Comeback. What's that? Is that comeback player of the year? Yeah, that was really surprising.
Yeah, that was such a surprise. Good on him winning that one though.
One vote. One person voted Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was just like, come on. Come on.
Like, come on.
Come on.
Like, yes, he had a good comeback season, but he didn't come back from a broken leg.
He didn't come back from needing 17 surgeries, almost losing a leg, being told that he might die from his injuries. Yeah.
Gronk was robbed. To be fair, to win a Super Bowl in your comeback season, fair play to Gronk. But also Gronk's comeback was couched to Super Bowl. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well put.
So it's not exactly it's not exactly you've been massively injured here.
Yeah, exactly.
You've managed to come back. It's not you've managed to come back from something incredibly detrimental. It's you've taken a year off, you've watched TV or whatever, done whatever you want, and then you've come back.
I mean, he was quite active in his year off. Wasn't he like at a wrestling event or something as well?
He might have been, yeah.
I can't remember. I think all the other ones were the same as ours. I think
so.
Offensive Player of the Year, we said.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, that
MVP,
was good. Yeah.
We said he won the wrestling event. You're the Gronk guy, Matt. We come to you for these sorts of things. Like,
yeah.
Herbert won both rookie things. Like, there was 2 rookie awards, which was weird.
There was the Pepsi Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
And then there's the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Chase Young won that, which was, sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Again, sure. Yeah.
I understand why.
I think that's the thing with these awards. It's like,
Jeremy Chin got a couple of things.
Yeah, he did. Antoine Winfield got a vote as well, which I thought, yes, absolutely,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's good. Let me have a look if I can see the votes. You're not going to show me the votes? No, okay.
TJ Watt. Did TJ Watt win an award? There were a couple of awards that I was like, yeah.
So we had assistant coach of the year went to Brian DeBoll, Bill's offensive coordinator.
Yeah, makes sense.
Clutch performance of the year went to the Hale Murray.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which we said was best player of the year. Fantasy player of the year was Josh Allen.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah. I had him on my fantasy team this year. Whoop, whoop. The FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Year were Aaron Rodgers and Derek Henry. Sure. Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award went to Teddy Bridgewater. Celebration of the Year was Steelers celebrating Chase Claypool's touchdown against the Jaguars.
It didn't go to the Baker one. The Baker one is fantastic.
I'm not entirely sure what he's doing here. Sorry, I'm just watching the celebration. Okay, he basically lit candles on the football and then they sang "Happy Birthday" and blew the candles out.
Year.
So
great question. Man of the Year is my favourite award.
Yeah.
More so than anything else, because it's named after Walter Payton, because basically he was a great guy, and the Walter Payton Man of the Year goes to basically the best person.
The big thing about the Walter Payton Man of the Year, it's given to the player who most exemplifies excellence both on and off the field.
Yeah, and so
it's kind of the big.
If you look, the first guy I remember winning it. The first guy I remember researching into why he won it was Chris Long.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
The kind of the work that he did off the field was just phenomenal. Kind of, I remember watching the video and stuff. And Calais Campbell has won it.
JJ Watt has won it. Larry Fitzgerald, Jason Witten, Drew Brees.
JJ Watt won for his hurricane relief, I think.
Yes.
It's just I'm trying to remember the kind of the work they did now, but it's really worth looking up who wins them and why they've won them, because actually they are just phenomenal.
So I can give you a bit of Russell Wilson for his commitment to Seattle Children's Hospital, which began when he joined the Seahawks as a rookie. His social justice work through his Why Not You Foundation. So he's done some incredible work both on and off the field, which exemplifies the Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Fully deserving. Deserving.
I mean, all of the nominees are deserving, really, because of the work they do outside of being a professional NFL player.
Do you know who Jacksonville's nominee was?
Ooh, I don't know.
Any guesses?
I'm going to look this up.
You can't look it up. That's not guessing.
I don't want to guess.
It was Josh Lambo.
Okay.
And guess what he won it for?
I don't know.
He won it for his work with an animal shelter and getting dogs adopted.
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah, his Instagram's really lovely. All the doggos.
Green Bay Packers one was Corey Linsley.
I think the Deacon Jones Award, is that most sacks or something? I'm probably completely wrong, but...
Let me look it up again. This is going to be my catchphrase.
Is it not already your catchphrase?
It's a wait. Yes, leader in sacks. So that's the Deacon Jones Award. There's also the Deacon Jones Trophy, which is the most outstanding all-round collegiate American football player of the year from teams or from players.
Is that not just Heisman?
No, it's among historically black college and the Deacon Jones Trophy is an annual Player of the Year award given to the most outstanding all-round collegiate American football player of the year among teams from historically black colleges and universities.
Right, okay. That makes sense. That's
named after Deacon Jones, who is an absolutely incredible player.
Stud.
Yeah. So this award first became a thing in 2016.
Nice.
And was won by Tariq Cohen in its first year.
Oh wow.
And then Amir Hall for 2 years.
Wow.
In a row. Then it went to Chris Rowland in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam's catchphrases I like stats and not Brady. Yeah, fair enough.
My catchphrase is, let me look it up for you. But yes, let's not talk about Brady anymore. We've talked about him. Not because I dislike him, but because we've talked about him for kind of 45 minutes today.
I know I like it. Was there anything else on my list to talk about? There were a couple of things that happened in the week that I thought I was going to talk about. Quick one for the chat. Any thoughts about where Carson Wentz may be traded to?
Actually, speaking of that, let me check if there's been any updates. Well, I know the 2 places that it's likely to go to, but I think he just ends up staying, to be honest.
Interesting, fair enough.
Because I think the Eagles are going to overvalue him, not get the value they want.
Yeah, probably.
And then end up not trading him and taking his massive cap space as a hit.
Yeah.
Or take his massive cap hit. So yeah, that's what I think happens anyways.
Yeah, fair play. I don't hate it.
But there are apparently 2 teams who have been currently looking into getting him.
Okay.
And that's been the Bears and the Colts.
Yeah,
who are both quite deep in trade talks. We talked about Deshaun Watson earlier, and I think the Texans have to let him go as a to do right by him.
Yeah, Sam and I were discussing how much say should players have within an organisation. And we're basically saying that...
Yeah, let's talk about that.
we were basically saying, kind of, ultimately a player's job is to play, but if your player is incredibly influential, if they're a franchise player, if you've designated them a franchise player by paying them a lot of money...
Yes, like then, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it's a bit like saying...
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's a bit like saying we want to put Brady in the Ravens offense. We think he's going to be a good runner. And it's kind of going, no, that's silly. And what I mean by, and obviously that's an extreme example the other way, but that's what we were saying is that actually, if you've got a franchise player like Deshaun Watson, or kind of we're talking about Russell Wilson said this week that he wants to be involved in personnel decisions. It's kind of saying, kind of which coaches, which players do you want in that system to work well with? Like, if there's a college player that they played in college with, that's kind of they really want. So, like, if Trevor Lawrence said to the Jaguars, "Could you draft this guy? I've got a great connection with him." Then, if obviously Trevor Lawrence has to prove himself first, but if he does, do the Jaguars go, actually, if they've got a great connection, if kind of we've got the word of our quarterback that he's good, maybe we think about it.
Yeah, and this is something I've mentioned the NBA a couple of times this week, but that's the reason I love the NBA is that a lot of these superstars are tapped into their front offices, into the execs, and so they can give a little bit of a sway of who they want on the team and where they how they want things to be done. And I think if you've proven yourself, then why shouldn't you be able to suggest things and actually know about these things as they're happening rather than once they've been decided.
Yeah, I have heard, Matt, that the refs this year in the NBA have been not great.
But yeah, so that's kind of that's what Deshaun Watson's been really angry about is that the front office said, or the owner said, we're going to keep you involved in these while we talk about hiring a general manager and a head coach. We're going to talk to you about this we're going to keep you in the loop, and then didn't talk to him at all.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, and now they're stating out loud, Deshaun Watson is our quarterback. We are not going to trade him. After Deshaun Watson has gone, I want to leave this team. Trade me. It's just showing a lack of respect for him, really.
Yeah. That's a really interesting opinion. I agree with you, Matt. I think Belichick. I really that's one reason I've had a little bit of Brady hate this year that I'm trying to get over. I really dislike that people are going, oh, Brady's the better part of the duo, Belichick duo. I'm like, actually, just why can they not both be great? Like, and like Brady doesn't deserve hate for that. Like, he's done great by himself, and I think actually, I don't think Belichick's done awfully this year. Like, you've lost kind of.
Look at the team you've had to.
You've lost Brady, you've lost a bunch of guys to kind of COVID and injuries and things, so it's like...
They lost 90% of their snaps at linebacker due to players opting out and free agents. And, yeah. Players like Kyle Van Noy, who's now at the Dolphins, they lost.
And it's absolutely right, Matt, that their quarterbacks were either going to be Jarrett Stidham, Brian Hoyer, or they had a go at signing Cam and seeing if that would work.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the best you can do. Sign a quarterback on a... He got it was a very, very team-friendly deal as well.
Yeah.
So it was like 1 year, $1 million, which is very team-friendly
I think it was like
in the NFL.
Yeah.
It might have been.
But
that's what... Yeah. They did really well there to be able to go, let's pick up some... it was 1 year, 1.75 million.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a really... Yeah, Tori, that's a great phrase. It's hard to win a sailing race when you're both sinking. The only problem is Cam is the leader. Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that kind of Belichick was dealing with a bit of a kind of... what's the word? A bit of a sinking ship.
It was always going to be a difficult year for the Patriots.
And again, like you say, Matt, he did a really good job with what Cam gave him. And I think, I personally think, if the Patriots are willing to stick it out, I think Belichick is the guy to make the Cam Newton experiment work. But I think he needed that season to just go, okay, I've got some ideas of what's going to happen now. This is what I need to do differently.
Yeah. And now they've got the... if it would load. They've got the 15th overall pick. Whereas they would usually be picking you up high 20s.
Yeah.
Puts them in position to get Kyle Pitts, the next best tight end.
Yep. I wonder if Pitts is going to go top 10, though. I wouldn't be surprised.
He might. He could well do.
Cam,
Philadelphia.
Is Cam the worst starting quarterback in the league?
No. Drew Lock.
Drew Lock.
Statistically, Drew Lock and Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Trying to think of anyone worse.
Let's have a look.
The Broncos. Yeah.
Nick Mullins hasn't played very well. Started 10 games this year. Carson Wentz didn't play very well.
I think Cam might be in the conversation.
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah, I can't think.
I mean, he had a much better completion percentage than either Carson Wentz or Sam Darnold or Drew Lock. Less interceptions than any of them. Less passing touchdowns, though. Is the big thing. He only threw 8 passing touchdowns. Started 15 games this year.
8?
Yeah.
That makes Mahomes' stats kind of even scarier. Like, this Super Bowl was the first time Mahomes hadn't thrown like a touchdown in a game.
Yeah. I mean, Cam Newton had 12 rushing touchdowns, which was tied for 4th in the league.
That's a good point. Yeah. In terms of throwing ability, yeah, absolutely, no question. But yes. Yeah, interesting.
Drew Lock hasn't shown much, though, I think, is another big thing.
He's shown capability, and that's the sort of the Sam Darnold thing we were talking about. Is like,
yeah, I mean, even though
great.
Down the line, Drew Lock hasn't really, whereas Sam Darnold has shown in a couple of games that he can win them. that he can play well enough to win these games, that he can actually make some good throws. And I haven't quite seen that from Sam Darnold this year, or from Drew Lock this year. I saw it from him last year. I saw potential last year. But the Broncos haven't put him in a position to succeed or develop. I haven't seen any development. I haven't seen really much from Sam Darnold either, which is why people are starting to sour on him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Is there anything anyone else would like to talk about? Maybe he just ran backwards from Mahomes. I guess he's such a nice one.
Oh dear.
You crack us up, Matt.
You do. Of the 129 comments that have been said today, I think you've accounted for at least 110 of them.
We like talking to you, and if other people want to come talk to us, like we love talking to people. That's kind of why we started this. We just want to talk about the NFL with people. Like, feel free.
Yeah, it's a really good thing for us because otherwise I would be ranting about the NFL to people who don't want to hear it. And so the fact you're watching this, that you're listening to this, gives me a chance to talk about the NFL all I want, really.
So yeah, don't be afraid. Just feel free to come chat with us. And if you don't know anything about the NFL, just put that, and we'll talk about whatever you want to, just want us to explain. Like we're very happy to explain anything. That's part of the reason we started as well. We want more British people talking about it. Like, oh, thanks, Matt. We appreciate that.
But yeah, no, I've spent the last kind of couple of Super Bowls explaining to friends how American football works because they've been watching it, and it's been really good fun actually. So it's just kind of, why don't I do that to more people?
Yeah.
I know a little bit about the NFL, so I might as well share that. Really.
Yeah, we're still trying to decide what we want to do in the off season. If anyone has any ideas, we kind of.
I'm thinking it might end in a little bit of a hiatus, but I think we should probably try and stream potentially once a week still.
It might be once a week, once every 2 weeks. We're still like there are so many thoughts. Just kind of if you want us to keep doing stuff, or if you want us to just come back next NFL season with more to talk about, or maybe talk about kind of trade stuff and all of that.
Yeah, I mean we'll probably bring some draft content to the table as well. That'll require a little bit of research. So I'll have a little bit of time on that. But yeah, no, even if you don't mention it now, but if you're watching at a later point or something and want to let us know, message our Instagram.
Come follow. So we're Flag on the Play 100. When's the college season's over? That's been gone.
Been over for 4 weeks.
Good. College football kind of runs from September to January. It finishes in the first week of January.
Yeah, and sometimes it's October to January. Because they only play, 12, 13 games?
Yeah. Would you like us to do college stuff next year?
That could be fun. That could be really good, actually. I've been meaning to get back into watching college football.
So is it? Well, that's the thing. Is do people want us to explain it? Like, is that something people want to do?
Yeah.
Very happy to do that. If you'd rather us just stick to NFL stuff, we can just stick to NFL stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to come follow us on Instagram, we are Flag on the Play 100.
It should be linked in the channel description. If you go to the About section, it should be under that as well. If you can't remember it or whatever, then
come give us
follow and let us know. Yeah.
And then you can just talk to us, and I'll put more stuff on our story, like what sort of things you want to do.
Yeah.
But if that's
then we can.
But yeah, unless anyone else has anything to say, I think that's us for. Brady did get drafted out of Michigan, yeah.
Yep, well done. In 2001.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Been playing for 20 years.
Crazy. It's really impressive.
It is. It's incredibly impressive.
I don't even know if we're going to see more of it. You see what I mean? Like, you feel like because he's done it that maybe other people will do it, but I genuinely...
I don't think we will, yeah.
I agree. I don't think... don't draft people from California.
I'll come back to you with that next week.
There's one very, very good player from California.
Yeah.
Do you know who it is, Sam?
I don't, but I'm... Oh, wait, California Golden Bears is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just trying to... Yeah.
It was working. He was working. It was getting there.
The cogs are whirring. You can hear my brain kind of going from over here. But yeah, the fact that Aaron Rodgers went to pick 21 is
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really don't think we will get more players like Brady. I think you look at Drew Brees, like you look at other quarterbacks of kind of similar age, kind of Phillip Rivers, Roethlisberger, Brees.
Yeah.
They might play that long, but they won't be as good.
Yeah.
Right.
Keenan Allen was drafted out of Cal.
Was he?
Mitchell Schwartz, Michael Kendricks, Cam Jordan, Jared Goff.
Yeah, but
Richard Rodgers. Yeah. Let's have a look. Deshaun Jackson, Marshawn Lynch, out of Cal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers.
Anyone drafted out of Arizona? I'm assuming that's Gronkowski. Yeah.
Let's have a look, shall we? The Arizona Wildcats.
Yeah.
Nick Foles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Gronkowski. Nick Folk, kicker. Ooh, I can't see many.
No.
Chuck Levy. Do you know him?
I recognise the name.
Running back.
Okay. I didn't think I had that.
Not many people. Yeah, that's about it from Arizona. Not the greatest.
If you get
college.
from Jacksonville, you're that's a move.
To Jacksonville. Well, yeah, seeing as Jacksonville's just not great. But they need to rebuild. They need to get better.
Well, this is the thing, and
this is the time they need. This is the time they do it.
Yeah. I will keep saying this. This is the first time the Jaguars have had a number 1 overall pick. They are also the last team to have a number 1 overall pick.
Because they were the last team to be to enter the NFL.
No, but you're wrong. Are you ready for this?
No, they were. It was Texans after, wasn't
Texans. And guess how many first overall picks the Texans have had?
3?
3.
I was right. I'm so clever.
And also, the Panthers entered the league at the same time. The Panthers had a number 1 overall pick before Jaguars did.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying. But yes, obviously they've been around not as long as many other teams. But well, my point is, there have been teams.
Let's put it this way: the Green Bay Packers have been around 5 times as long as the Jacksonville Jaguars have.
The Jaguars have been around 20 years, 25 years now.
I think they were formed in 99 or 97.
Yeah. But so in those 25 years, at least 4 of those were. So at least 4 of those picks were teams that were either the same age or younger. So I think that says something.
Formed in 95.
Yes, because it was 25th anniversary this year, or last year.
Packers celebrated their 100th anniversary in 2019, I believe it was.
Yeah, crazy.
So, yeah. Bears and Cardinals are even older.
Mm-hmm.
They're a year older.
40s, yeah.
40s?
Not 40s.
1919.
1919.
Yeah.
Mahomes is younger than the Jags and still got... Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You don't have to remind him. But yeah, that's a little history into the NFL. So Chicago Bears, I can't remember what they were originally called. I think they were the Bears. They might have been the Cubs at the time.
I think Arizona are the no. Yes, Arizona team,
used to be
used to be the Chicago Cardinals.
They used to be the Chicago Cardinals, but they were formed in the same year that the Bears were. So I believe there were two. Yes, yeah, but in the same year.
The Cubs are the MLB team.
Yes, but I believe so. The Chicago Cardinals were made, and then the Bears were made in Chicago as well.
Okay. They were the Staleys or something, or the.
Yes.
I watched a video on this the other day. It's really interesting.
It is. There was something like that as well. But
really
when they changed their name, they wanted it to be linked to Chicago, and because Chicago Cubs were a staple of Chicago for a long time, they decided we're going to call ourselves the Bears.
Yeah,
it's a similar vein. But yeah, so those teams were both created in 1919. The next year, the Green Bay Packers were created. Oh, Matt.
Yeah, they were not.
We've spoken about Paul Brown, haven't we?
Paul Brown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have before. Yeah. Yeah.
So we won't go into it again. It's a previous stream. It's on YouTube somewhere. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to say? Otherwise, I think we're done for the day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all this amazing support we have. I imagine we'll be back next week if there's any kind of new trade news or anything. But
fingers crossed, yeah.
And please follow us on Instagram because that's our best way of getting into contact with people. And
yeah, that's kind of the only way you let us know if you want anything, or want us to talk about something at another time. Is to let us know on Instagram, and we can do a little bit of research beforehand or something, or come to with you, or come back to stream with a fresh perspective.
Yeah. We'd love to keep doing this over the off season, but yeah, we don't know how much. Yeah, just what people are interested in and how much there is to talk about. So.
Yeah. So if you don't let us know, then the stream might be about something.
We want to tailor this to you guys. Yeah, we just want to tailor.
We might come to something completely random. Bring something random to stream and just be like, "This is the topic this week." That's it. That's if we don't get any.
Yeah, because we don't want to go into draft stuff if that's going to bore people or people kind of not interested or whatever. But
yeah,
we love you no matter what. So just
let us know. Yeah.
Thank you
this
so
has been
much.
Amazing streaming. It's been a bit of an elongated goodbye, but almost.
Yeah,
but it is.
It was a bit of a disappointing Super Bowl, kind of disappointing end to the year, but but actually we've had just such a great year, and we're just so thankful for you guys. And just thank you so much.
It has been really awesome. So
we'll see you.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Hopefully.
Bye. Yeah. Please do.